Hi, it's Barry Campbell from Highland Baptist Church here in Redmond, Oregon. We've been talking a little bit about leaders and leaders within our church and how leaders might be able to be more effective in their work. For example, if you're a leader in a life group, there are three different ways that you might be a leader in a life group. Or maybe you're a leader among the deacons or the council. Some churches call them elders. Or maybe there's a work group that you've been asked to be a leader of. Or really any team that exists in a church. There are times when we really need to step up as leaders and kind of understand what our best approach is or what action we ought to take or how to best lead our team. As a pastor, I've been to lots of different kind of conferences and meetings and places where great leaders step in and they tell us stories about how they handle situations. And, these guys are just forceful because of their own personality, and they're just really aggressive leaders who get things done by the force of their own approach to things. And I really thank God for those guys. But for most of us, we're really not that kind of a forceful leader. And most of us can really get in trouble if we try to become some kind of a really strong, even maybe almost dictatorial leader when that's really not us. If we try to put that on, we can really get into trouble. It can be awkward. We appear uncertain as leaders. And what's really better is to recognize what your natural leadership style is, and then have a toolbox of other leadership tools that you can pick up and use on occasion, but then kind of revert back to your natural style. And so let's talk a little bit about those leadership styles. And I'm going to talk today, give you some 4 leadership styles from a book called The Empowered Leader, and is written by a guy named Calvin Miller. And Miller was a professor at one of our great seminaries, and he wrote some great stuff about preaching and some great stuff about leadership. But the thing I really liked about Miller's approach to leadership is he simplified it. He boiled it down to 4 leadership styles. Study leadership, you could find a vast array of different leadership styles, but Miller kind of boiled it down to 4 pretty simple things. And here's what I really liked about Miller's approach. Calvin Miller said, these leadership styles, all 4 of them are good. All 4 of them are positive. A lot of times people who write books on leadership kind of write the extremes. Here's one over here that you should not use, and here's one on the other extreme that you should not use. But Miller identifies 4, and they're all usable. So let's jump into that. The first leadership style that I'd like to talk about is called the directing leader. And the directing leader is a powerful tool and a good leadership approach to use. The directing leader gives really clear instructions, very specific instructions, and the directing leader supervises that very closely. Now, this is not maybe a natural style for you, but it's important sometimes to really kind of be directing, to give very specific instructions, to be really clear, and then to follow up. The next one is my favorite, and I think it's probably my personal style, and that's called a coaching leader. The coaching leader is one who steps in to explain not just what you're supposed to do, but the coaching leader will explain decisions, helping the team member to understand why we're moving in the same direction. And of course, the most important thing about the coaching leader is the coaching leader is going to take suggestions from the team, because the coaching leader is a member of the team. He's not as distant as the directing leader might be, but he's a part of that team as well. He's going to be working on that same team. And the coaching leader is going to support the progress that's made by the team members. The next leadership approach that I'd like you to kind of be aware of is called the supporting leader. And the supporting leader is like the coaching leader, but takes it one step further. The supporting leader shares authority and shares decision-making ability. So the coaching leader might make the decisions, but explain why. The supporting leader says, "Hey, I want you to make that decision," and shares actual authority. And so the supporting leader is taking one further step back. And then the fourth one that we're going to look at today is the delegating leader. Now, the delegating leader takes it one step further even than coaching and supporting, because the delegating leader gives so much authority, not just responsibility, but also authority, so much authority to the team member that they actually allow them to solve problems and make decisions without the direct involvement of the team leader. So kind of these are the four approaches that you might want to consider. What I would ask you to do as a leader here at HBC of any kind of a team is just to take a look, and they're pretty simple. You can understand what those are and say, okay, well, what's my natural style? For example, for me, my natural style is the coaching leader. But sometimes I have to go all the way to delegating and just step back and let people make their own decisions. Sometimes I have to step up here to the directing leader and really use a little heavier approach than what I'm accustomed to or what might be natural for me. But it's important for us to be able to pick up those tools. But I always try to revert right back to my coaching style, because anything else is unnatural, a little bit awkward for me, so I don't want to try to live there. I was thinking back about when my son Jesse was a little kid. I walked by one day and he was watching a show on TV, and it was a Christian show. I jotted down the name of it. It was called McGee and Me. I don't know if it's on anymore, but back a few years ago there was a show called McGee and Me, and it was a Christian show. And one of the lines that just as I was walking by in this Christian video, the lead character said this. He said, "God gives strength to the humble, but he flattens the hotshot." And I think that is a good translation of what the Bible says about leadership. And so I would ask you to kind of choose your leadership style, but really always use it with humility. So thanks. God bless you. Have a great day.